Introduction. A short time ago, I decided to finally begin to learn Japanese. I immediately had flashbacks of how I learned Latin, French and English in high school and how utterly useless it was most of the time. Je m'appelle Pierre Roussel et le magnétophone ne marche pas. Although my English teacher was great, he showed us how to learn with our favorite songs and watching movies with subtitles. And with that in mind, I said, fuck textbooks, and decided to go on scouting for other ways to learn languages. I took a deeper look at language applications like Bubble or Duolingo and noticed a disturbing pattern in the advertisement of said. Easy, fast and fun. It is 100% free, fun and science-based. Science, fun, community. Easy, fun and effective. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Japanese. All contain the word fun. 3 of them easy, also 3 fast and 2 science. What is the first impression that we can get out of this? Learning is fucking boring, bloody difficult and takes a shitload amount of time and
Hail science!
I was surprised about the bad image learning seems to be labeled with. How the marketing is about fight the bad aspects instead of promote the good aspects. It's like fast food advertisement saying reduced calories and easy to digest. Addition. To be fair, I am interested in the science part. With a few clicks on some pages, we can find explanations, articles and papers. The major topics on how these learning apps are built are microlearning and gamification. Microlearning describes a way of teaching that uses short lessons with specific content. For example, a 10-minute explanation on how to use the pronouns watashi. Gamification describes a way of learning by introducing game elements such as experience points, level systems, progressions or achievements. Start at the goal. Before we start to analyze the process of learning in detail, we should ask ourselves one question first. Why do we choose to pick up a new language? When it comes to motivation, the goal setting is very important, because it influences how we approach the process of learning in the future. We should ask ourselves, is our goal intrinsic or extrinsic? Is it realistic or unrealistic? Furthermore, we differentiate between long-term and short-term goals. The long-term goal is what we ultimately want to achieve. The short-term goals are checkpoints, so to speak. Here are 2 examples. I myself want to learn Japanese because I'm interested in the culture and I want to learn more about it. I plan to visit Japan in 1 or 2 years and want to be able to communicate with the locals, like ordering food. Another one could be, I want to learn Japanese because I hope to score a better job with this skill in my resume. I want to be able to converse on a business level within the next year because I want to apply for a new job. Let's compare the long-term goals. I'm interested in the culture versus I want to get a better job. Intrinsic. I am interested in something. I don't expect to get any advantages out of it. I want to learn the language because it is a part of the culture. Extrinsic. I want to get a better job, I want more money, I want a bigger reputation and so forth. The language itself doesn't play a role, it's just a mere tool. Let's compare the short-term goals. I want to order food versus I want to speak on a business level. Realistic is ordering food. It is not that complex and we have enough time to prepare our order in a restaurant. Unrealistic, business level conversation. After 1 year, we're probably still reading every sentence out loud and mutter between every other word. An intrinsic long-term goal helps us to stay motivated over a longer period of time. It makes it easier for us to come back to learning to start another lesson. With an extrinsic goal, every lesson is more or less like, let's get this over with. We don't have benefit until we reach the final goal. Whereas for an intrinsic goal, every single lesson immediately takes us one step further to our main goal. I will give my best. Now the goal is set and the motivation is at its highest point, we can take on the first lesson. It starts off with the writing system and the different components. At some point it went kind of like this. Jin, person. Achievement unlocked. 1 kanji out of 2000? It didn't take long for the motivation to plummet into the endless depths of nothingness. Maybe we weren't aware of how intimidating and overwhelming the first wave of information can be. The Japanese writing system consists out of 3 components: hiragana, katakana and the kanji. Technically every word can be written in hiragana with the 46 different characters. But when it comes to loan or foreign words, katakana with 48 characters is used. For example, terebi means television. Kanji are in addition to the 2 other types, and they can replace whole words written in hiragana. For example, watashi, the first person pronouns, can be written in hiragana with, or the kanji. There are over 10,000 kanji, and about 2,000 to 3,000 are recommended in everyday life. How is that even supposed to work? The learning curve. The learning curve goes back to Hermann Ebbinghaus, 1885, and can be described as a graphical representation of a learning process, i.e. the time we need to reach a specific skill level. Maybe you heard the term a low or a steep learning curve when it comes to video games. Take a game like Dark Souls or chess. Those have a low learning curve, what means we need to invest a lot of time to learn how to play properly and obtain a sense of achievement. Games like Mario or Monopoly are quickly learned and can be played successfully within minutes without feeling frustrated. Those have a steep learning curve. Only a short amount of time is needed to acquire the necessary skills to perform. Learning a language or an instrument is a bit more difficult than just a mere description of low or steep. It can be illustrated with an S that kind of has given up on life. We can divide this curve into 3 sections. The first, slowly rising start, the skyrocketing middle, and a disappointing drop at the end. When we start to learn, in our case Japanese, we have to brace ourselves for a hard time. First, we need to learn all the basics, the vocabulary, the grammar and the writing system. As an anime fan, I knew some phrases, but genuinely trying to read a sentence Japanese, I felt completely overwhelmed. Like a child trying to figure out where the square might fit. Once we are familiar with the basics, the learning process gains momentum. We learned the concept how something works. Now it is time to fill it with content. We face a lot of new vocabulary, kanji, and spend the time internalizing what we learned so far, getting more and more proficient. The end of the curve falls off because this is the point where we confront advanced topics. The little nuances that take more time to learn in comparison to what we did so far. Let it be advanced grammar we don't necessarily need in order to communicate, or technical terms that are seldom used, or the next difficulty level of kanji. Challenge of inaptitude. The first part of the learning curve I'd like to call the challenge of inaptitude. At the beginning we might be stunned by the vast amount of information we are supposed to encounter. This will never work. We seem to be unable to do anything, even the simplest tasks seem so absurdly difficult. There is no real challenge and therefore little to no fun. After weeks it takes me minutes to read one sentence, of which I most likely don't know 50% of the vocabulary. Nani mo shiranai chonsun. I can count to 100 and point out that there are stones and flowers in the garden. Our goal seems so far out of reach. The real challenge is now how we deal with the situation that we will be, for a long time, inept to do anything. The ambition is always high at the start. With languages, we want to move directly to the country. With instruments we want to play immediately what inspired us, and with games we want to challenge the Grandmaster. Those are very unrealistic goals, and the fist of realization strikes mercilessly very soon. Therefore, it is from uttermost importance we choose the right goals and go the intrinsic way to get there. Some bail out, some bite through, but we intend to enjoy the ride, even if it's a little bumpy sometimes.